Well, we were talking about the Dallas Mavericks with Dr. Phil, and now it's time to dive into the game that you voted for Fan Night, which you'll see tonight, Knicks and Mavs. Both teams coming off of heartbreaking losses last night, as you guys broke down on Game Time. Dallas losing to Oklahoma City. The Knicks coming off a loss in overtime to Boston. So really a good bounce-back test for both teams. Bones?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 3D can agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. New York, a tough loss in Boston. Rondo going nuts in that game. I mean, it took that kind of effort to get over. I guess that's what Mike D'Antoni would tell his team. And now traveling to play against the Dallas team that they beat just about a month ago in the Garden. And we'll see if they can somehow find a way to win in Dallas. Dallas needs to get some things corrected, so this is a good test for them.
Big-time test, so it's going to be interesting.
Let's go 3 points on the Knicks.
Well, this whole insanity thing is great. I'm going to start with the bigs first. Big stat. Amari Stoudemire, since Lynn's been back, hasn't been stat yet. I look for him to have a big game tonight. He has to learn to speak a little German because he's had to guard Dirk a lot, so he has to show a big. Mellow Yellow, Carmelo's finally understanding. Give the ball to Jeremy. Get to your sweet spot. He will give you the ball. Very anxious to see will he go at Sean Marion tonight.
Are you seeing yellow light for Carmelo Anthony?
I'm seeing a little bit of that.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And number 3, of course, the Lindy. Everybody in New York is dancing. They're having a good time in the streets because the phenomenon is getting better and better. Some people thought Bones and I were crazy when we said this kid will even get better with Amari and Melo back because there's better talent around him. He's staying in attack mode. He's still getting into the lane, and he's making Melo and Stat's job easier. Novak, guys like that off the bench. Shumpert's even playing better with Jeremy Lin running the show.
Well, let's take a look at what he's done over the splits between his first 3 starts and his last 3 games, and more specifically this past Sunday, got into early foul trouble, turned the ball over, struggled from the floor. So how important is it for him to struggle one game and then be able to follow it up with a strong performance?
Well, I think this is going to continue. I think there's just a situation right now for Mike D'Antoni where there's so many moving parts with the addition of J.R. Smith, coming back after the All-Star break, trying to get Carmelo and Amari on a page offensively for them to make all these adjustments and think in 3 or 4 games it's going to happen. It's not going to happen that way. They fell into what happened with Jeremy Lin in terms of the winning streak and how they played. They've got to take the good parts of that and then take the good parts of what the talent can bring back, like 3D said. That's when it'll start to fix itself.
Let's go to the other side of the matchup. The Mavericks last night losing to Oklahoma City have lost 6 of 8. 3 points for Dallas tonight against the Knicks.
Yeah, you know, they've struggled a little bit. There's been some things swirling off the court, especially with Lamar Odom taking the sabbatical, 10 days, trying to get himself in a position where he's going to come back and contribute to the team. And they're still waiting on that. It's been a couple games, and they want more. But let's talk about tonight specifically. The Mavericks really have been bad rounding up the paint. They've had centers go off against them. Brook Lopez, 38 points. Marc Gasol had a big game of 22 and 11. And last night, even Kendrick Perkins was dominant on the inside, 14 rebounds, 8 points. They've got to shore that up tonight against Tyson Chandler returning to play his old brothers in Dallas. Secondly, Marionette, it's about what Sean Marion's going to do defensively because now, with all those guys back, the first game he was just worried about Jeremy Lin, trying to stop him. Now where does Rick Carlisle put him? Does he put him on Melo for stints of the game? Does he try to slow down Lin again? Do they use more zone? So we'll see what kind of puppetry Rick Carlisle has in store for Sean Marion tonight in terms of defensive assignments. And then lastly, the Germinator, talking specifically about Dirk. He had a 1-point game just a couple weeks ago, a 1-point game returning from the injury against Memphis. Then he follows it up, a huge game Saturday, 40 points in 29 minutes. Last night, he was 10 of 22 last night against Oklahoma City. So it seems like Dirk is starting to round himself into form. But what I don't see from Dirk is that he's had single-digit rebound games. He hasn't moved the ball as well. He's not scoring in the post. A lot of his shots have come, and he's shooting it great from behind the arc, but settling for a lot of three-point shots. That's not something that he's done for 4 or 5 seasons in the league. He's been interior. He's been on the elbow. He's been on the block. So we'll see tonight if maybe Dirk against the Knicks, again, a little payback for the last loss, but starts to round himself into form in terms of where we're used to seeing him score. That would be a great sign for the Dallas Mavericks as they try to recover, I think, more mentally in this game, Jared, than anything physically.
Well, Dirk is still 12th in the NBA at scoring the last 5 games. We showed you the graphic. It's about 2 points up from his season average, but he's been building because he really did struggle towards the beginning of the season. The other part of it, too, you mentioned the paint last night, as you guys saw on the game. Brendan Haywood went out early. If he's can't go tonight, I mean, that Tyson Chandler is going to say, wow, this is my game.
Well, there's another issue, too, with Dallas. So Haywood gets hurt 31 seconds into the game last night. Jan Mahinmi came in, was ready to go, played a very good game in terms of his effort, fouled out in the last minute of that basketball game last night. But they just sent Brendan Wright to the D-League, he's holding out because he has concussion-like syndromes. That's a guy who was getting minutes from Mahinmi. So, again, there's a hole there at the center position. And with Tyson Chandler coming to town, Tyson's going to be fired up. He's going to get himself. He's going to get himself the ring. He's going to have an emotional night, and he's going to want to show up in Dallas. So it'll be very interesting to see how Dallas is going to man up the middle.
It's going to be interesting tonight, too, also, guys. The wild card of the night is the bench. J.R. Smith, Novak shooting the ball well, and, of course, Jason Terry coming off, had a decent game last night, even though the last play of the game, the ball probably should have went to Dirk. Him and Jason Kidd bumped into one another. So it's going to be, I'm anxious to see which bench gets off.
You know what's interesting about saying that? I completely agree with you, but when the Knicks beat Dallas last time on February 19th, there was no Melo in the game. He had the groin injury. Jeremy Lin goes off. Mike D'Antoni only went 3 deep on his bench, played 8 guys.
Right.
You don't see that too often from him because he likes to get that tempo up.
Right, and Rick Carlisle right now is dipping more into his bench than we've ever seen. Roddy Beaubois has been playing minutes, had a big 25-point game last week and a loss to, I believe they were playing the Hornets last week in that game.
Yep.
And he's trying to find minutes for Lamar Odom because he feels like the only way he can get him engaged in the game is to have him in the game. It's tough to do from the bench. So dipping into his bench as well. We'll see which one comes out on top tonight.